Hey everyone, this is Vanessa Smith, otherwise known as LuLaRoe VA Smith. And when I first was thinking about making this video, it was intended for those that I sponsor, the consultants that I sponsor in LuLaRoe. But then I thought, you know what, why not just put it on YouTube and share it with whoever wants to use this content in their own life, because I think it's really important and really well, honestly, just really essential to have these kinds of conversations about this topic at hand. So the topic is leadership. And I think we often think of leaders as people above us and something that we need to rise into. But I believe that we're all leaders and that we all have the potential for greatness. Now, there is a way that you could certainly hone your leadership and shift it in a way that perhaps suits you better and the people around you better. But we're all being leaders all the time. And I think when you make that mind shift and you see it from that perspective instead, you get a little more conscious about how you're behaving in the world and how you might be perceived. And are you really coming across in a way that makes you and other people feel good and empowered? Because really the whole point of anything here, I believe, is to lift and to love, to just help elevate yourself and other people. I think that's really such a huge part of why we're here in general. So thinking about leadership, there's 3 questions that I want to pose to you. The first one being, take a look at my notes because I wrote them down. The first one is, what qualities do you think represent a leader? So making a list of what those qualities are. Are they patient? Are they positive? Are they creative? Are they adaptable? There's a whole list of what you could come up with. And then as you look at those specific qualities, you can ask yourself, what of those am I really good at? What of those can I work on? And then so not only the qualities, but the part 2 of this question are, what are the skill sets that a leader has that helps them be the best of themselves. So a skill, for example, might be time management. A skill might be being able to communicate clearly. A skill set, actually, believe it or not, is being yourself. Isn't that funny? You would think that it's easy and automatic to just be yourself in the world, but for some people it's a little more challenging to find their genuine voice, to be able to speak with ease and just feel comfortable in their own skin. Sometimes it takes a little while to get there. So the first question, again, is what qualities and skills do you think represent a leader? Question 2 is, what kind of leader do you want to be? What kind of leader do you want to be? So there's the leader that we are, and there's the leader that we want to be. The gap between those two may be thin. You may be there. Or it could be a little bit wider, but you're not going to know until you actually ask that question of yourself and explore what the answer is. So, for example, for myself, the one of the leadership qualities and just a leader in general that I want to be is approachable. There's some people out there that you just feel like, I don't know if you've ever had a manager or somebody that's maybe a higher up than you, and you're like, oh, I just don't feel comfortable just approaching them. So I've always held that really close to my own heart, is be an approachable person, make people feel comfortable to ask any questions that they want to ask. So another aspect of the kind of leader that I want to be is to be relatable, And the best way that you can do that is just by being yourself and by being open to other people being how they are. Just tell your story. We all have our stories. We all have our past. We all have our ideas of how we think life should be. And the more you can express that in a clear and kind way, the more relatable you're going to be. So those are two descriptions of the kind of leader that I want to be. I'm sure there's more, but I just wanted to give you some examples. And then the third question that I want you to think about is, what is unique about you? What's unique about you that you're bringing to the game as a leader, right? Because we're all different. And there's something that's specific to your personality and your kind of innate gifts that you're bringing to the game. And the way that it gets all expressed and packaged together, like, makes up who you are as a leader. So for myself, I was certified as a life coach back in 2004. So I did kind of a really intense when I was in graduate school, it was like a graduate level training on coaching. It was a 1.5-year program, and got it certified as a life coach, and have been coaching since 2004. So for, what is that? 12 years. My brain doesn't work after we just came back from the LuLaRoe convention this past weekend, which was incredible, but I'm still quite tired. So I had to stop and do the math there for a moment. So for 12 years, I have been a life coach. So that is definitely, I would say, unique to my style of leadership, and very much part of that. So for those of you that aren't familiar with coaching, people go to a coach because they're looking to change something about their lives. They're looking to either, at minimum, change their perspective, or, change something very specific, whether it's their job, their relationship, their health, whatever it is that has to do with the sort of general life coaching areas. So coaches, what they do is they help you clarify what your goal is, what your vision is, why you're being called to change these certain things. Because when you're anchored into your why, then it's I wouldn't say makes it easier to change. Sometimes it does, but it makes it more clarified. It keeps you on the right track when you know your why and you know your vision, to walk through those steps of change, because we meet our own resistance. Have you ever tried to lose weight or change your diet or change your job? There's sometimes a struggle with that. But if you're tapped into your why and your larger vision for your life, which is what a coach helps you clarify, it helps everything become a little more simple. And those steps do become easier to take. So coaching does that, and it also helps you create a plan for how you're actually going to change whatever it is that you want to change. So the coaching piece is definitely something that I bring to the game as a leader. Another thing is, I am a sensitive person. And for those of you that are also sensitive people, some people call it being an empath. You can call it whatever you want. But I used to think of that as a detriment. And I, have been told at all ages, from being a little kid to, this past weekend, that sensitivity could be not a favorable quality to have. But here's the thing. Whether you express your sensitivity and your vulnerability or not, we all have, a certain level of connectedness to life and feeling, sensitive to what's going on in the world, or sensitive to other people's feelings. And what I find, and why that's a powerful quality in leadership, is because it breeds empathy. Okay? It breeds empathy and compassion for other people. And if we don't have that, gosh, there's like this slew of birds going over right now. If we don't have that, then what are we to each other? Because we need that. We need that that empathy and that connection, so people can feel close and create community and help each other rise up. So that's my goal, at least. I feel like sensitivity really breeds empathy, and we all need that. And then the other thing that I bring to the game as a leader is just, I've always been very future oriented. Like, I have I'm always looking at, well, what's possible and how can we create it? Like even when I was a little kid. So I was always a kid, like at the party, when you're smaller and you're supposed to be playing with the other kids, but instead I'd always hang out with the adults and I would ask them, what do you do? Are you happy? What would you do if you could do anything? So that's just always been my orientation of like what's possible. So the combination of those things and how I uniquely express them is what I bring to a game as a leader. So as you're thinking about that question, again, I'm going to ask that question. Number 3 is what's unique to you, about what's unique about you that you're bringing to the game as a leader. So I'm going to go back through all 3 questions now. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So question number 1 was, what qualities and skill sets do you think represent a leader? Do you think that a leader should have? Question number 2, what kind of leader do you want to be? And question number 3 again is, what's unique about you that you're bringing to the game as a leader? Those are the 3 questions. And please let me know if you have any questions. There are no silly questions in my book. Sometimes there's more appropriate questions for certain times than other times, but generally just ask. So I would love for you to think about your leadership style, think about the importance of being leaders in the world today, whether it's just personally in your own life or out in the community to any cause that you feel called to serve others and to bless others' lives with. I think it's really important to build a leadership-focused community, to think about bringing forward the leader in you more consciously in this world. I think it absolutely makes a difference. So thanks for watching, and I would be happy to hear from you. Take care.